Hey, friends out there, this is Thursday, October 6th, 2022, and it is just about 5:42 in the morning here in Northern California. And as usual, I'll talk about a few things today. I hope everybody's doing as well as they can in this crazy ass world run by money loving madmen, the inducers of misery worldwide. Ever since the inception of money, these people have been running the show because they're willing to do things that you and I are not. And that's a tough pill to swallow, I'll tell you, for the righteous, for the meek, for just decent, regular, everyday people who want to live and let live, who have a goodwill toward men attitude, and basically want the best for everybody, you know, who say, hey, you know what? I want for other people what I want for myself. I want for other people's children what I want for my own children. And I'm not standing in the way of those things happening. That's a decent human being. And unfortunately, there's people that will do virtually anything to keep their position and power and place in this world. And if it means destroying millions of lives, they don't care, as long as it's not their lives or maybe their immediate circle, their family. But you know what's going on in the world today is very precarious. All this nuclear rhetoric, very precarious. And what sickens me is that all these people in their cocky speech about nuking, oh, we'll do whatever it takes, and to win this thing. It's a sad, sad, sad state of affairs because we know that these top politicians have this COG, the continuity of government, and they've got these safe places underground, cities virtually, and they can live indefinitely. They have their own independent power supply that's impervious to a nuclear attack. They got supplies. They stay underground for years until the nuclear winter subsides. That's the way they think. You understand? So they don't really care if everybody, every human being gets wiped off the face of the earth as long as they can remain because they're so important. They're VIPs, very important people, and the world needs them, right? We need these people, right? So you see what kind of period we are in history? Very precarious. We need God's help more than ever before because the politicians aren't going to be able to help us. The military men are not going to be able to help us. In the event of a nuclear war, remember, that's millions upon millions of civilians. These aren't people that signed up to go fight in wars. These are just regular, everyday people that are going to be slaughtered at the hands of these freaks. You understand that? So you understand why we need God's help. Because the only way I foresee nukes flying back and forth, these intercontinental ballistic missiles with the nuclear warheads. I mean, you can look at the damage that was done in just two bombs dropped, one on Hiroshima and one on Nagasaki, Japan, and look for yourself what happened. So you can imagine if they start lobbing these things around at key cities, they say, well, we're going to really hurt you here, we're going to hurt you there. Remember, a lot of innocent people are going to be killed, just vaporized basically, most of them. So you see our need for God is great. And lucky are those that understand that. And every day they recognize that they are not their own, but they are God's property. Unless we created our own brain, which none of us did, then we got to thank God every day for giving us a brain. Because good luck living your life without a brain, right? So Use your God-given imagination, your power of thought and prayer, and say, God help us. I don't want to see innocent people being slaughtered at the hands of freaks that have a continuity of government attitude. Hey, you know what? You need us. We don't need you. Although it's regular, everyday people that keep the wheels of society turning, that are imperative to the welfare of society. So, God help us. That's all I can say is God help us. When it comes to saying I want to be on the popular side of an issue, there's a huge risk in so doing. If you don't think for yourself and you're letting other people, you're letting the masses, the majority, dictate your opinion on a particular issue, I don't condone that at all. And I would really strongly advise you not to do that. And remembering what the genius Albert Einstein said about this. He said that what is popular is not always right. It's that simple. Remember that. What's popular is not always right. And what is right is not always popular. I mean, does it get more succinct than that? This means you must think for yourself. You cannot allow people think for you because of their political affiliation or their economic philosophy. You understand? You must think for yourself. And I highly recommend that you think about fairness. Just simple fairness. The way if you're playing a board game, you want it to be played fair. You don't want to know that some people are cheating and that the odds are stacked against you. But that's exactly the way it is in this world right now. You understand? It's like a game of Monopoly. We're all forced to play. You don't get a choice. It's called the cost of living game. You understand? And just like Monopoly, once you're bankrupt, you're out. That's it. You're out of the game. And that's really what these people are doing. Through attrition, they say, well, you desperately poor people. Look, we don't need you, okay? And in America, everybody in the world wants to come here. All the poor people, all the poor nations want to come here. And, we're a rich nation, right? The richest nation on earth, touted as. Although we're $30 trillion in debt, right? And there's no discussion. I mean, I want to hear Cheryl Atkinson's opinion on Full Measure about this. She gets into some of these issues that are very, very in your face. It's the elephant in the room. Yet, nobody talks about these things. How we're carrying this debt, this $30 trillion debt. And I explain it to people like this. They do it by raising your cost of living and deflating your currency. So the worth of your currency goes down because the cost of everything is going up. And that's watering down the money, or currency debasement in economic terms. And that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So who's paying for it? Those that can least afford it. That's who's paying the interest on this principle, this $30 trillion principle. And there's no discussion of how we're ever going to get it paid off. They just want to keep this thing going, keep this train chugging as long as they can. That's it, man. We don't care if they let the wheels fall off the bandwagon, but we're having a good time now, and we don't care about you. We're snot-nosed, drunken, bratty, spoiled children, drunk on the blood of saints that have taken over, hijacked this thing, this ship of fools, and we don't care about you. Fairness can take a hike. No such thing. We're just going to keep on riding this thing as long as we can. They don't care about people. I'm talking Democrats and Republicans. People misunderstand so much out there. They think of a guy like Rockefeller, right? They think, oh, this was the epitome of a capitalist, and this is why we hate capitalism. But yet, he was so anti-capitalistic, it'll make your head spin, if you understand. I mean, to say that competition is a sin, that's a quote from Rockefeller. Okay, and understanding that competition is an integral part of capitalism. That's it. That's how you keep prices down, because if you don't compete with, if it's somebody says, well, if I drive another mile, I can get gas cheaper. And so I do the math and I say, well, yeah, I'm going to do that because that saves me money. That's competition. But when they fix prices, when they rig prices, when they manipulate markets, when they collude together as special interest groups, you take the housing, for example. When you think about the people, real estate agents have an interest in higher housing prices because that's a selling point, they think. They sell to their stupid, naive customers. They say, oh, yeah, it's going to go up in value. I mean, that's a lie. They don't know that. That's called puffing. And that real estate is always a good investment, right? And it's been like that. I mean, it's got a long track history that, keeps going up in price. But remember, when it's going up in price, that means the worth of your housing dollars are going down. So it stifles people's movement. It takes freedom away from people. They don't feel free. They know if they sold their house and moved across town that they're not going to be paying taxes on the original price they paid for their house. Now they're paying taxes on a house that costs 3 or 4 or 5 times as much, right? That's a big chunk of change. For a lot of people can't afford it, so they just stay put. They say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to suck off my equity here and keep driving new vehicles and doing home improvements and taking vacations and having fun, living high off the hog, and just take out a second mortgage, a third mortgage. I don't care. Just like the national debt. Can you imagine a credit card you never had to pay off? You just say, raise the limit. How much I have there. That's it. That's what America's been doing. But you see, we're creating more and more billionaires, and the Democrats aren't paying down the taxes. The rich Democrats aren't. They don't want it. That's a lie. That's shooting themselves in the foot. The rich Republicans, they're not going to vote the tax. They say, oh, you socialist. Socialist? My God, I'm a capitalist. I believe in supply and demand. I believe that, hey, competition, and we got to get prices down. That's what you see. If we're making any progress at all, the worth of your money goes up. But it's been doing the opposite my whole life since they killed JFK, who was getting rid of the Federal Reserve, was issuing and circulating